Kia ora koutou katoa, nau mai, and welcome to He Kōrero I Ōpōtiki. My name is Ivor Jones, and I'd like to introduce Katarina Adams. Kia ora, Katarina.
Kia ora, tātou.
We're here as citizens of the community of Ōpōtiki who are interested in issues and topics and kaupapa that happen in our community. And we do a cast, say, every week, either on a Thursday or a Saturday, where we get around the table and we have a kōrero about issues that are affecting our community. And tonight we thought we'd have a kōrero about the opinion piece section in the Ōpōtiki News. And, excuse me, would like to focus on our friend, Mr. Mike Fletcher, who is the main person who if you have a look at the Ōpōtiki News, you open it up and right in the middle is perhaps one page or even 2 pages of opinion pieces, or a opinion piece, which Mr. Fletcher contributes to. And what we've sort of picked up is that there is a very much a right-wing sort of flavour to it. And if you watch Fox News or One America, if you've seen them on YouTube or have come across them in your social media feeds, it has a hint and a smattering of that sort of style, very Tucker Carlson, let's say. And so we just wanted to have a look at that question about the Ōpōtiki News, and they've just closed their office here in Ōpōtiki, and they've set themselves up more appropriately in whakatane for themselves. And if you've got questions, folks, please go into our Facebook link and ask a question. You can ask a question there and it'll come through to us here and we'll be able to watch it and respond to any questions that you might have. And here's his article from, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. Kate.
Yeah,
yeah, this is Mr. Fletcher. And I've gone through it, I think it was 2 weeks ago with Debi, and we had a talk about it. What's your particular view on this article, Kate?
I think it's quite rude, really. I think it's the fact that he's been given as a journalist for the newspaper a reply in the letters to some pertinent details that Debi Hokart put in her letter. Hasn't addressed at all the issue that was forefront of that letter, was the conflict of interest situation with Barry Howe having a pecuniary interest in the harbour, yet still making decisions on behalf of the community about the harbour. He doesn't address that at all. He says his writing style is blunt, with clarity the aim, but he is pretty intransigent, or doesn't want to change his views at all, as he's expressed in a previous letter, that it's his way or the highway, the way he writes, what he writes, which is fine. In an opinion piece, he can write what the hell he likes. The Ōpōtiki News can wipe his hands of it and say, yes, that's just his opinion. But it is free content for the newspaper, which they're happy. They don't have to pay for a journalist to fill that area in the newspaper. The rest of the article is, again, he's using the tried and true Trump tactic, which is to say that this may be what Debi Hokart is saying, but who knows? But who knows? Who knows? This may or may not be. So it's putting stuff out there, the stuff that, where was it? He says, lost a seat last election. A policy of largely remaining silent at council meetings and supporting the mayor was not a winner. Nothing wrong with supporting the mayor. She did have disagreements, I know, and didn't vote the same way as the mayor on many occasions, but was largely remained silent at council meetings because she did her homework. I knew she did her homework and would go and talk to council staff about the papers before they had the meeting. So the council meetings aren't held up with asking silly questions that the councillors could have found out beforehand. So that's just doesn't indicate anything about Debi Hokart, the fact that she's largely silent at council meetings. That could be said about a lot of the other councillors, but of course, I think that Mike Fletcher is seriously biased for the current council and the councillors within, the new councillors, and consistently slates the previous council. And he's being hypocritical in many situations, not addressing the wrongs of the current council, for example. And I think it's not what people want to see about our community. I think it's quite distasteful journalism and lazy journalism, actually.
Thank you. During our discussion, we had some thoughts about what could be possible alternatives or improvements. I termed it the expanding of the perspectives that might be shared on that opinion piece page. So just imagine if you opened it up and there was the leader of the students at Ōpōtiki College, the head boy and head girl, who wrote an article about what they're doing at school, how it's coming along, the new tumuaki, the positive changes that are happening in that school. I'd really like to read about that.
Yeah, there was in the last paper there was a lovely, there was fantastic coverage about Ōpōtiki College, which was made for great reading, and about time that we had something about Ōpōtiki College in there and what our rangatahi are up to. It's really positive, and I think like a regular column, just even what appears in the school kōrero, the newsletter that goes out in at least once a month in the newspaper, just to keep people in touch with what's happening at the college, would be really good, positive reading. And,
absolutely, there's fantastic positive changes that are happening at the school, and I'm involved with a local kora here who's interested in becoming gaining a whānanga, a whare whānanga status, so going from year 0 to year 13. And I'd like to ask the school to think about, can we now firm up our relationship better with Ōpōtiki College, to strengthen those so we can send our kids there and keep them here in Ōpōtiki rather than chucking them in a bus and going to whakatane, or expanding into a kura environment where we know that there is a lack of teachers and resources and stuff like that. So just some of the dynamics that are going around, and would be good in an opinion piece in the Ōpōtiki News, I would think.
Yep.
And as you say, have students from Ōpōtiki College contribute examples. Also local marae committees. One of our ideas was that. What other ideas did we
just to know what's going on in the local marae with each hapu, what's going on, especially since they were there front and foremost as headquarters for the
disaster relief.
The disaster recovery, the civil defence situation, where and throughout the country where we've seen marae have taken such a crucial role and such a generous-hearted role in supporting people who've suffered so badly. I think there's lots more stories we could be hearing within the general community. That's what's happening at the marae. So I think that would be really lovely to hear from different hapu, what they're working on, what's happened, what buildings going on at the marae, what funding they've got for the new wharenui, or any news like that. I think that would be something positive to know about our community. So I think we want to put more positivity out there instead of the negativity. It would
counterbalance the court report on a Thursday.
Right. yes, that's right. Yeah, sure. We've got. We need to know this stuff. I think the court report has its place, information like that. But I think to have consistently negative individual opinion from one person is
not good for Ōpōtiki.
Not good for our community. So yeah, I think we had a few other ideas there, didn't we, about people who could write a piece about what's happening in the community, because there's so much good stuff that usually gets a short piece in the paper. And now
we've got a great supporting question here from one of our viewers. Thank you very much. I would like to see the Ōpōtiki News staff be more proactive in finding out all the great activities happening in our community.
That's going to be unlikely now. That's going to be less likely to happen. It is a great question. that the office has moved.
But the office is closed.
The office has closed, has closed. What a great job the staff used to do in there. And there have been some great comments on Facebook congratulating and thanking the staff that used to work there, Jan Shaw and her crew. But yeah, that was the question.
Here's Maude. Here's Maude. I'm watching tonight. As you know, I'm in a conference all weekend, so I won't join in. But a great conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, but so they're less likely to send out journalists into the community. So I think if some of us could come up with a few ideas, approach a few people to write the requisite number of words to go in that particular spot would be a great help, without putting the onus on, people to do the work that the Ōpōtiki News is supposed to be doing. So we only have one journalist. The closest journalist, I believe, lives in Ohope. There's nobody here who writes the Ōpōtiki News.
Is that Sven?
Yes, that's right. So unlikely to know what the hell's going on in the community. So perhaps,
So we need to get the community to go writing content to go to them. Great. So a couple of examples we've come up with is Ōpōtiki College, networking on with them and seeing if they'd like to come along. Local marae and sharing some good news stories around there. What were some other examples?
And I have been talking to people about this. This isn't my idea. A day in the life of a mussel shucker, a day in the life of a volunteer worker at the hospice shop, a day in the life of individuals, because especially, that's a whole new category, is about the volunteers in town. Regular news from the firefighters, who are the last people to skite about what they do. And it is just absolutely phenomenal what they have to deal with, what they have to cope with, without acknowledgement, because nobody knows actually how many RTAs, road traffic accidents, they've attended this week. And the siren goes off every 5 seconds and nobody knows exactly what's going on unless there's something serious. We all unfortunately get to hear about the tragedies. But I think,
Yeah, big ups. You mentioned firefighters. Here's the Ōpōtiki News Facebook page. And unfortunately, we have to go to Facebook because the Ōpōtiki News doesn't have a website that we can go to. And here are the firefighters that you were just referring to.
Oh, great. That's a recent item. Yeah, that's a recent article. But but to have regular updates from them, and just great having an article like that, but to know what they're doing and who's joined up, who's retiring, who's been awarded 25 years service, which is incredible thing that they do in Ōpōtiki, that there are 11,000 volunteer firefighters throughout the country, and a lot of them working in Ōpōtiki, and just mind-blowing work that they do. But to have regular updates, not just the occasional thing when something big happens.
Now, is the word library still going to be in Te Tahu or Te Rangi? Where's that?
I understand that there have been talks with whakatōhea and with the council about that issue. But I did send in a request to council about who had instructed the Te Tahu or Te Rangi to add the word or change, adapt the word, the name of the place to add the word library. And it's gone in as an official Lagoima request because there don't seem to be any mentions in any minutes of the meetings, any words of anything about the library. So this has been discussed and talked about outside the official meetings, the council meetings, and
the secret meetings.
Wherever that has been discussed. But then also the workshop meetings, the workshops, which have been called by Mike Fletcher, secret meetings, and there's been a lot of news stuff out there that the council is fighting for integrity and transparency, when really there needs to be, on occasion, there needs to be confidentiality within workshops. And sure enough, one meeting that was had in the middle of January, I couldn't find the couldn't find the notes or the notes from that meeting on the council site, that there weren't any notes for that particular workshop, when there's been so much talk about, yes, we're going to be transparent and we're going to make all the information available to all to the community. But there's a meeting that was held on the 24th of January and there's no notes about that. There was a workshop. So, and apparently the council has to vet those notes before they get published. So now, a month later, we can't even see the details of those minutes. So what I'm concerned about is that they're saying on one hand that things are transparent and much more transparent now. On the other hand, there's stuff going in the background that we still don't know about.
Okay, it looks like Risk and Assurance Committee meetings, looks like their stuff is up.
Yep, sure, but there isn't anything about the workshop that was held on the 24th of January, which talked about the Rua, the Reo
strategy
scheme. Yeah.
Very good.
But the point is that,
sorry, go ahead.
The point is that on one hand they're saying, oh, we're being really open and transparent, and on the other hand that they're not. So I'm not objecting to the fact that some things are confidential and that workshops are actually just exchanging of ideas, and that a bit of a headbanging session between the councillors and the mayor. That's fair enough, but to have called them secret meetings and that now we're being much more transparent is not the case.
Fair enough. So we're going to line up some possible options to work with the Ōpōtiki News to see if it's a viable option to be valid opinion pieces in a more positive light about Ōpōtiki.
Yeah, I'm not interested in helping Ōpōtiki News. I'm interested in putting out more good stuff that happens in the community out there.
Yep, correct. Fantastic. What other topic? No, I had a look through the Ōpōtiki News, and I'm really happy that the college is taking off. Because for the last long time, at least 10 years, they've struggled. But it's been fantastic now that they're on a positive path. And the new board as well, being led by Danny Pararu, is making positive moves along with management and the principal. So it's really good to see. Yes,
it's I've don't have children myself, but I've had long-standing connection with Ōpōtiki College one way or another, and I still take a great interest in what's happening down there actually, and I'm sure a lot of other people do in Ōpōtiki.
And it's nice to see that the role is going up as well, and that whakatohea is having more of a role to play in the school and how it's operating. So that's all positive stuff.
Yeah, it's good to see. I'm the secretary on the board of trustees, and I get to see how that group of people work. And it astonishes me that these people, these trustees, past and present, who give up their time, a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of mahi to keep the kura going. It's just all schools. I just sit there in astonishment at the time they dedicate to looking after the kids of the town, of the district.
Are there any other good news stories that you might have, Kate?
I think it's good that there are people who, like yourself, who are concerned what's happening in the community, and I think that our leaders need to be held to account at every step. But also, I think people need to think more about everybody's got ideas and people should be consulted on things. But I think that we've elected these councillors and the mayor to get on with the job, and they are advised by experts. The council staff are experts in their fields, and if they don't have enough knowledge, they consult people who are experts. So I think sometimes we need to not think that we've got the best ideas when we don't know anything about hydrology, or we don't know anything about the running of a water treatment plant. So I think sometimes we need to step back a little when we see things that we don't think are quite right in our town, and maybe just have a little think and not think that we know better. Surely we can help if we think we know better, but to criticise people, particularly council workers, for what's going on in our town, to go through the proper channels, complain to the council, but not write stuff on social media that can't be countered, can't be proved, is not nice language. I think that's not helpful to anybody, and to think people who think they know better than the experts is a bit unfortunate. So my call would be to just give people the benefit of the doubt, that certainly the council workers who are getting on with the job they've been told to do. Yeah, that's my thoughts there.
There seems to be and I've talked about this before, a tension between a perception of governance and management and their functions. In terms of a councillor, you're more governance role, and the managers are the district council. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, sure.
So the role of the governor is to guide them on where to go, but the actual mechanics, they are the experts in their field. They're the engineers. They're the infrastructure people. They go away and do that mahi, and then they come back and report to you. It's not the other way around.
Well, as I understand it, the councillors at the top, they do the strategic planning, they do the governance, and then tell the council staff to get on with the job and do what they have decided needs to be done. It's not to micromanage the council staff, because if they have no knowledge or expertise in those fields, the councillors, then you just need to let them get on with the job, really.
Now, could be a conversation for another episode, but with the latest climate disaster that we've had with Gabrielle, people are talking more about three waters. And my thinking is more changing around, well, councils are going to have to deal with the infrastructure bill and needing to improve the current infrastructure. How is it going to be paid if a centralised type model isn't accounted for, isn't picked up and adopted?
Yeah, I think three waters. I think our town, our district, and the council have already acknowledged that it wouldn't be good for Ōpōtiki, because Ōpōtiki has in the past kept up standards and been really onto maintaining the infrastructure, and in effect Ōpōtiki would be, as I see it, would be paying for everybody else's screw-ups or inefficiencies or not maintaining infrastructure.
I see that as a model that National have proposed. So they've proposed that where perhaps councils might amalgamate, although they haven't used the word amalgamation, and one council may be operating well, which it sounds like what you're saying in terms of looking after its infrastructure, the Ōpōtiki District Council. I'm not sure how its books are. But so in National's model, a well-performing council would have to subsidise a low-performing council to improve its infrastructure. Whereas I understand. Sorry, go.
So I don't know much about three waters. I just know a few basics, but certainly excuse me, the amalgamation of councils. If we amalgamated, we would Ōpōtiki would end up as paying a lot more money. The ratepayers of Ōpōtiki would be. I'll leave you to talk for a while.
Yeah, that's okay, because my understanding is we're going to have to pay more rates anyway, right? I understand that district councils have tried to keep costs down, and I understand that because it'll win your votes. That's right. But and this is my understanding, folks, is that you're going to have to pay for it. Somehow we're going to have to pay to keep the harbour going for this new infrastructure. We're going to have to pay for it. And the only way I can see, other than borrowing, is increasing rates, which you don't want to do as a councillor because it won't get your votes. So, Kate, it was just...
Yep, sorry about that. I'm back.
No, it's all good. I hope you're okay. The only way that I can see of paying for all of this stuff is a rates increase, other than borrowing. But my understanding is with three waters is that you've got your regional council part, which you might have got a bill for not paying when it flipped over in October. You've got the district council part, and then Three Waters is going to be under separate, but run by the government. And I'm not sure if we will have to pay into that or how that would work. But that's my understanding, is that they'll be separated out, and the council won't have access to that infrastructure part.
Ivor, I'm sorry, I can't comment on this. I have no knowledge of that. All I know is that if councils get amalgamated, Ōpōtiki, who's been running on smell of an oily rag, but lean, mean, and efficient, will have to pay for the ratepayers will have to pay for the inefficiencies of the other councils. So Whakatane, kōrero and Ōpōtiki already work really, really well together, exchange lots of ideas, I believe, and have regular meetings together. But I think amalgamation would entail many more expenses for ratepayers.
Shared services would mean a decrease in costs, so there's some costs that you could share across those three councils, which would reduce.
Sure. I'm not an authority on this either. This is not a subject that I could speak with any authority on, I'm afraid. I've got my own ideas about it. But
so relating back to the three waters question, I'm leaning more towards, I was neutral before, on the fence. I would like to retain, ownership of things as an idea that we all have. We would like to retain ownership of our local water. That's the idea. But I think the latest disaster has demonstrated that the cost maybe for maintaining them as a nation it's $138 billion or something like that.
Yeah, this is a huge conversation which has been initiated by Cyclone Gabrielle, one which I'm not knowledgeable enough to talk about. I can't comment on those things. I'll have to have a good think about them and find out what's happening with the big story that's going to occur after the cyclone.
I think it's going to be a big issue coming up, and it'll be interesting to watch the council and see how they deal with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We're coming up to 29 minutes. Have you got anything to end with? Okay.
Yeah, I've just seen a message there that Sven Carlson, most active local reporter in Ōpōtiki. Big thanks to you for sharing all the good news. Yeah, I think Sven has been outstanding, has been great. But we still could improve on.
Get some local contributors to contribute to the Ōpōtiki news, and we'll say we're not. This isn't about trying to save the Ōpōtiki news, because things change. This is about raising the profile of the community of Ōpōtiki in that article.
Yep, just spreading a bit more positivity out there, I think.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for coming in, Kate, and having a kōrero with me about issues and topics that are affecting our local community. Is there anything that you'd like to end with before we sign off?
Yes, I consider myself a relatively confident person, but once somebody has a microphone in front of me and I've got to talk, I seize up a little bit. So I'm being brave and got my big girl panties on to talk to you today, Ivor. But I think it's great what you're doing and keeping conversations going, and keep those channels open, really, so we can express things in a positive way, hopefully moving forward, without all the ugliness that we see around the world of people who are backbiting and bitching and saying horrible things on Facebook or on social media without any progress being made, or it's just polarizing. And I'd like to, scared though I am to talk with you, Ivor, in public, I'd like to be a part of making things a bit more positive and constructive for our community.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. And thank yous for being a voice for us all and exposing the truth. We do need to spread more positivity. Maude ora. Thank you very much.
Kia ora.
With that,
we're missing our pals. We're missing Maude and Debi and Louis. Saturday night is probably a big ask to get people out and about to have a kōrero, but hopefully we'll keep this going, and hopefully people will still be interested in spreading the love, spreading the positivity.
Yeah, fantastic. So this is on Facebook. This is in our Facebook group. It's also on the YouTube channel. So if you can go and YouTube it, you can watch it, you can spread it around, you can have a laugh, you can poke some fun at us, all that sort of thing. The idea is to try and raise the profile of issues and topics and concerns that are affecting the Ōpōtiki community in a positive way. With that, I would like to wish everyone a very good night. Pō mārie.
Pō mārie.